Welcome back. I am Serena, and you're here for some commentary and analysis as well as informal long streams. But for this piece, I wanted to quickly cover this. This is from Al Jazeera. Israel bans Al Jazeera. What does it mean and what happens next? Al Jazeera said it will pursue available legal channels to protect its journalists from Israel's slanderous shutdown. Indeed, Israel's cabinet unanimously vote to shut down Al Jazeera in the country on Sunday, immediately ordering the closure of its offices and a ban on the company's broadcasts. The decision was announced by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on X. Hours later, Israel's communications minister published footage on X showing Israeli authorities, specifically inspectors from the Ministry of Communications, backed by the police, raiding the Al Jazeera office in East Jerusalem and confiscating the channel's equipment. Goodness me. So we are in this situation now where a ceasefire was meant to have occurred so that humanitarian aid wouldn't be blocked, so that hostages could be released, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And then what is it that they claim? The only democracy in the Middle East is now removing more press, and now from its own country. The shutdown comes a month after Israel's parliament, the Knesset, passed a law on April the 1st that allowed Israel to temporarily shut down foreign media outlets, including Al Jazeera, if it deems that a threat to security. What does that mean? What does it mean? We must have that broken down. What kind of a threat was it posing? What were the security concerns? What were the risks? Without explaining that, we can't understand why a democracy would want to remove media, its press, its so-called free press, because remember, a sign of a democracy is a free press. In a previously recorded report, Al Jazeera's Imran Khan, reporting from occupied in East Jerusalem, explained the terms of the law further. So I'm just going to make my screen a little bit bigger. Based on the law, the Al Jazeera website is banned in Israel, including anything that has the option of entering or accessing the website, even passwords that are needed, whether they're paid or not, and whether it's stored on Israeli servers or outside of Israel. Khan added. Let's watch. It's only a minute.
If you're watching this pre-recorded report, then Al Jazeera has been banned in the territory of Israel. On April the 1st, the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, passed a law that allowed the Prime Minister to ban Al Jazeera. He's now enacted that law. Let me just take you through some of the definitions within the law. They've banned our website, including anything that has the option of entering or accessing the website, even passwords that are needed, whether they're paid or not, and whether it's stored on Israeli servers or outside of Israel. The website is now inaccessible. They're also banning any device used for providing content. That includes my mobile phone. If I use that to do any kind of news gathering, then the Israelis can simply confiscate it. Our internet access provider, the guy that simply hosts AlJazeera.net, is also in danger of being fined if they host the website. The Al Jazeera TV channel, completely banned. Transmission by any kind of content provider is also banned. And holding offices or operating them in the territory of Israel by the channel. Also, once again, any devices used to provide content for the channel can be taken away by the Israelis. It's a wide-ranging ban. We don't know how long it will be in place for, but it does cover this territory of the state of Israel. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera, occupied East Jerusalem.
So additionally, the Al Jazeera television channel is completely banned in Israel. He explained within the country, cable providers now show a message that the network is prohibited from the air. Though in East Jerusalem, some people have told Al Jazeera that they could still access the channel on television as of Monday afternoon. Khan added that the internet access provider that hosts Al Jazeera, A.net, is also a danger of being fined if they host the website. Okay, so Akiva Eldar, a political analyst and contributor to Israeli newspaper Haaretz, told Al Jazeera that the shutdown is a very populistic move to feed the beast of the public opinion that is very disappointed from the conduct of the government in Gaza and in the international arena, adding that this is also to please the partners from the radical right. Netanyahu's government relies on support from a band of far right parties and leaders, many of them, like Finance Minister Smotrich and Minister of National Security Ben Gvir, holding key positions in the cabinet. Kari's office said that Al Jazeera is shut down for 45 days and the shutdown can be renewed in accordance with the law passed on April 1st. When the law was passed, Netanyahu said he would act immediately in accordance with it to stop Al Jazeera's activity. However, the timing of the shutdown a month later coincides with crucial negotiations between Israel and Hamas on the war, mediated by Egypt and Qatar, where Al Jazeera has its headquarters. Al Jazeera has been targeted by Israel before. Netanyahu threatened to shut down its Jerusalem office back in 2017, and an Israeli missile destroyed the building housing the broadcaster's office in Gaza in 2021. Many Al Jazeera journalists, and in several cases their families, have been killed in Israeli firing or bombing, including during the current war in Gaza. What was Al Jazeera's reaction? On Sunday, they released a statement condemning the shutdown, describing it as a criminal act, and warning that Israel's suppression of the free press stands in contravention of international and humanitarian law. Let's see if we can get this a bit bigger. This is from X. So, in a deceptive and slanderous move, the Israeli cabinet, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, unanimously voted to shut down Al Jazeera's offices in Israel. They also chose to withdraw crew accreditations, as well as banning media service providers from transmitting its broadcasts and blocking Al Jazeera media network websites. Ironically, as the world marked World Press Freedom Day, the Israeli government closed Al Jazeera's offices, preventing the public from accessing its content, disregarding the universally recognized fundamentals of freedom of expression. Al Jazeera Media Network strongly condemns and denounces this criminal act that violates human rights and the basic right to access of information. Al Jazeera affirmed its right to continue to provide news and information to its global audiences. Israel's ongoing suppression of the free press, seen as an effort to conceal its actions in the Gaza Strip, stands in contravention of international and humanitarian law. Israel's direct targeting and killing of journalists, arrests, intimidation, and threats will not deter Al Jazeera from its commitment to cover, whilst more than 140 Palestinian journalists have been killed since the beginning of the war in Gaza. The network vehemently rejects the allegations presented by Israeli authorities, suggesting professional media standards have been violated. It reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the values embodied by its code of ethics. Al Jazeera urges all media freedom, human rights, and other concerned organizations to condemn the repeated attacks on journalists and the press by Israel and to hold those responsible to account. The network will pursue all available legal channels through international legal institutions in its quest to protect both its rights and journalists, as well as the public's right to information. Targeting journalists is a crime. There's one piece that I wanted to just quickly go to, one sentence, because since I do talk a great deal about media literacy on this channel and will continue to do so, um, I want to look at what our sort of standards are, our acceptable standards are, when it comes to journalism, professional media standards. Um, as far as I'm concerned, from what I can see, it's definitely Al Jazeera is definitely not one of those culprits who tend to report unprofessionally or inaccurately. And what we have now is that we've got this massive landscape of media commentators, pseudo journalists, new journalists. I don't claim to be a journalist. I have worked as one. I've worked in media for 20 years as well, but I don't claim to be one. There's a reason for that. The reason is that I believe that journalism is something for practitioners, and so you've got to do it like fully committed to it. You've got to make sure you're adhering to professional standards. That you might be part of a body, a professional body as well. You continue with your training. You continue to publish works with different publications or your own, and so it requires a great deal of, I think, professional commitment. It's not something that you could just claim to be. I think you've got to demonstrate it. So, as a chartered public relations practitioner, and I have been in PR for 20 years, although I've done some journalism in that sort of period of time, I would not claim to be a journalist, and I never have done. Although you could argue that this content is sort of journalistic, but it's more commentary analysis. It's about aggregating news as well and providing comment on it so we can understand what's being reported and what's actually going on, what feels inaccurate, where we should dig a little bit more. And Al Jazeera is just not one of those that I have felt I needed to sort of second guess so much in terms of their reporting. Now, obviously, as we know, as media literate people, that media organizations and companies are owned and have owners, and they have their own agendas. We understand that. That's definitely not going to be up for argument. I get that. We talk about that all the time. But if Al Jazeera are posing a threat to security, it's really important we know why and how. But there have always been claims made by Israel. We just never know what those claims are founded on.